What's going on, Detroit Lions fans? Welcome back, Stephen Will. Listen, my guy Will here. He's had a bad day. His last couple hours at work today, just he got dragged through the mud. All right, I'm not going to put out exactly what happened, but help him out. Hit that subscribe button. Maybe put a couple smiles on his face. If there's one thing that's going to cheer him up, it's going to be some Detroit Lions football talk. Will, little change of pace today. What are we talking? No more prospects today, but I'll let you introduce what we're going to be talking about today.
Perfect. Today, listen. The first thing I'm gonna do is tell the people what we're not gonna be talking. We're not gonna be talking. We're not gonna be talking about Myles Garrett. We're not gonna be talking about Max Crosby. We're not gonna be talking about Trey Hendrickson. Like it's not gonna happen.
We're not part of that Detroit Lions trade network anymore. Is that what you're saying?
So we're well aware that Myles decided that he would restructure his contract and all of this stuff. Listen, guys, it's funny because people accuse us of this, but there's some things that you can do to get clicks, to get likes, and the bottom line is this: you come on here and be optimistic and get people riled up. That'll get you clicks and likes. We don't do that unless it's something that we truly feel optimistic about. And then we get called negative sometimes for our true opinions, but we're going to continue to give our true opinions. So if we're riled up about something, like excited, we're really, truly excited. We're not trying to get likes, clicks, whatever, right? And we're not going to talk about the names that people see on the thumbnail just to get likes and whatever. So there will come a time when maybe we'll talk about those guys again, but unless some crazy breaking news happens, man, you're not going to hear much more about those guys at Detroit in 313. Apologies in advance. But what we are going to talk about today is some real things that happen. We got some coaching news. We got a little coaching news. And for the blind eye, it might not be too exciting, but to me, when I saw it, I was like, because I remember the name when it was at Georgia Tech, man, and I was like, right, immediately, and then I saw the combination of the two because we got a Detroit Lion that used to be at Georgia Tech. So new running backs coach, none other than Tashard Choice, man. Tashard Choice. And he is a hell of a up-and-coming coach. He's bounced around a little bit, had a nice little run in the league, played at Georgia Tech, started his coaching career with the Dallas Cowboys, who he recently just interviewed with for a running backs coach position, but decided to go with the Detroit Lions, man. Feel bad for those guys out in Texas because he's coming from Texas, where before that he was at Georgia Tech. He did that interview with the Cowboys, said that he was coming back to run it back with Texas. And the next thing you know, this Detroit Lions called and he said, hey, man, when Dan Campbell calls, I gotta go. So, Steve, how you feeling about Coach Choice?
I like it. If you just look at it and you don't do a little research, like, oh, cool, Lions got a running back coach, like no big deal. But then when I start seeing like some connecting the dots, all right, you can hire someone. You got to do a little investigation, all right. And I think Dave Burkett, sorry, beat me to it. I was doing a little research and I saw on Twitter he connected the dots for me, so I could have sat back and probably just let the information fall into my lap. But I like that he's got that connection with Jahmyr Gibbs, that Georgia Tech connection, one of his coaches when he was there before he went to Alabama. So I think when I look at it and I think, did Dan bring him in for that reason? Are we about to unlock another version of Jahmyr Gibbs that we really haven't seen before, a little bit more in the passing game? Because Georgia Tech gave him the ball quite a bit. That's how he got noticed and recognized by Alabama and ended up transferring there to, really get his name onto a national brand and picked up in the draft. Thank you, Detroit Lions, for noticing. So when I started connecting those dots, Dave Burkett beat me to it. It just got my brain spinning a little bit. Like, all right, if there's anyone who probably knows Jahmyr Gibbs the best, same thing I said about Harbaugh yesterday when we were talking about Mason Graham. The guy who probably knows him the best is the guy who recruited him at Georgia Tech, the guy who sat in his parents' living room, had all these conversations, how he was going to take care of his son, their son, and what they were going to be doing, how he was going to keep an eye on him. A little break in between, but now they're reunited, and I'm excited, William. So we could talk about Jahmyr Gibbs. Do you think that this is going to be something that we see a little bit more from 26 this season?
I don't know that it's going to cause more production out of Jahmyr Gibbs. I think what it's going to do is bring comfort, man. It's going to bring a familiar face who's a quality coach. Now, we're not just bringing him in here to be a familiar face, but I think it's the icing on the cake, And I think about the whole situation from Georgia to Alabama. Coach Saban said he got to Alabama as a polished running back ready to go because it was, hey, get here and get on the field. And that's not something that's easy to do at Alabama. Alabama puts out some darn good running backs, man. So got there, competed, won the job, and showed out, man. And his football acumen is talked about just everywhere he's been, work ethic, the list goes on, special talent. So I think that Coach Choice had a little bit to do. Now, God said that he was going to be fast and quick and elusive and some of those things. But when it comes to the intricacies of football, I think Coach Choice played a hand in it. And if you look back um, at some of his collegiate interviews, he paid some homage to Coach Choice, man. So I think that this is a relationship that is probably going to be a good one. I know that Coach Choice is a man of faith too. So he's probably going to help a young man with a whole lot of money make some good choices. So probably be another good guy in that locker room when you talk about having some good mentorships for a lot of these young players that we have here at the Detroit Lions. So that part excites me. But in doing my investigation, upon the hire, I found a little speech that he gave back in his playing days at Georgia Tech. And I thought this kind of spoke to who he'll end up being as a coach. So I'm gonna load that in and let the people hear it.
Back against the wall, folks. And I heard it last week, bro. I couldn't come out there and fight with y'all folks. They absolutely killed me, bro. It's my everything or my nothing, man. I don't got nothing else, man. I don't got nothing else but y'all boys. And if we can't do this today, man, it ain't worth it, bro. We gotta go out there and give it our all today. Everything you got, bro. Everything you got. This is it, bro. There's no turning back from this point, bro. Somebody in here, man. I know y'all boys with me, bro. I know y'all ride with me. I know y'all roll with me. Here you go. Get your hands in here, man. And I want you, hey, y'all know what time it is. Repeat after me. My everything. My everything. My nothing.
Listen. I'll say this. To me, a lot of the times I find that some of the best players or the best coaches are people that have nothing but football. These are people that have a tendency to pour their heart and soul into everything that they do on the football field. And then they find out they can give back to the people that are coming in behind them. That's what I see us just getting into Detroit. We're going to get a guy that's going to get us everything, or give us everything. Man of faith. He's not just going to be out here worrying about football things. He's going to be the guy that's checking in on these guys after the football is done, making sure that they're okay, building relationships, building a culture. But he's also a tough guy. He's also a guy that's going to get down and get after it. He's a grit guy, right? So I think he fits right in with the Detroit Lions. I think he's another one of these coaches that's young, up and coming. But it worried me at first. And it worried me at first for this reason. I said, man, what are we doing with Coach Montgomery?
Yeah.
Is he interviewing somewhere? Is he going somewhere else?
I thought I missed something when I saw this hire. I thought it was like, what happened to Scotty Montgomery? I was confused for a minute.
Yep. So then 20 minutes later, man, I'm on Twitter as I'm digging, trying to figure out what's going on. And I see that Coach Montgomery is now taking over for Coach L. He's the wide receivers coach. So for those that don't know, it's not foreign land for him. He's been a wide receivers coach in the past. He played wide receiver in college, broke a whole bunch of records at Duke in college, man. I think he's been with Pittsburgh Steelers. He's been with the Colts. He was a head coach at East Carolina, offensive coordinator in Maryland. So this is a guy who is seasoned and has done almost everything that you could do as a coach. So when I'm looking at Coach Montgomery, I think he's just putting another notch on his belt on his way to maybe being a head coach in this league, man. But I'm excited we still have him in the building. I'm excited to see what he does with these receivers when he gets his hands on them. Is he going to be able to, because he's already got a relationship with the guys. So is he going to be able to enhance that receiver room? What's his step going to be with those guys? I'm excited for that. How you feeling about Coach Montgomery going from the running backs to the wideouts?
Well, first of all, William, we gotta talk about that clip you just played. All right. I thought I was about to watch a Disney movie with that music that was going on. I was waiting for Coach Yost to come out and say, "Hey, man, I don't want them to gain another yard." I thought we were about to get a TC Williams type.
Another inch.
Yeah, I don't know who put that music over there, but for me, it just kind of killed the energy. But if you just listen to the saying, the meaning is there. But that Disney music, I don't know. Someone did our guy dirty there, but we didn't need all that. But yeah, I like this hire. Again, we don't get on here. We don't talk about hires. But now that I feel like our coaching staff is mostly set, other than maybe a couple assistants here or there, these are the guys that are going to be sitting in the rooms during training camp and deciding who's going to make this team. I know Dan Campbell ultimately has the final decision, but he's going to be coming to these coordinators, these position coaches for guidance and advice on, hey, what do you guys see that I might not be seeing? And I think that's something that maybe not a lot of people are talking about, because I was diving into Johnny Morton a little bit, and he spoke loudly about how the team needed a Craig Reynolds when they were thinking about cutting him a couple years on Hard Knocks. That clip's kind of been circulating, and it just kind of got me thinking, with this coaching staff, ex-players, highly touted guys, I'm not going to disrespect Ben Johnson. We had a good time with him, but he wasn't a former player. I think that these guys are more keen on evaluating talent. And I just think when you're sitting in these rooms during training camp and Dan Campbell's got all the heads around him and they're going over this roster, I think I have more comfort, like you said earlier, just more comfort, not from a player standpoint, but from a fan standpoint, that they're going to put together the best 53-man roster. I don't think we're going to be, looking out for our buddies and kind of taking care of some players under the radar that maybe shouldn't be on the team. And we're not going to really go down that road too far, but I trust this coaching staff. I like the way that it's shaped up. It's built, keeping Mark Brunell, keeping Scotty Montgomery, even in a different role, adding a young running backs coach, Coach Rogers, the defensive line coach. I think that's going to be a pivotal piece. I think we got some fresh faces in some very important places. I think that's probably the most pivotal one. Curious to see how this D-line shapes up, but overall as a coaching staff, I love it. And again, I was a little worried. I didn't know what was happening with Scotty Montgomery when I saw this hire. I was like, did Aaron Glenn poach him? Is he going with Ben Johnson? So it came out a little bit later that he was, just taking a different position. So I'm happy that he's still with the team, familiar face. I'm in Amon St. Brown. I think we'll be just fine together. I'm excited about this coaching staff, and we don't hop on here. We don't talk about every coaching move. We don't talk about every assistant that gets hired. But now that this is kind of all mostly finalized, like 90%, I'd say, other than a couple of assistants, I love it. And I'm curious to see where these minds go in free agency. I'm curious to see what they attack. I'm curious to see what they bolster. And same thing with the NFL draft, because these position coaches have a little bit of a say as well. Not as much as like a coordinator, but their opinions do matter. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen here in the next couple months.
I'm excited to see what's going to happen here in the next couple of days. And by that, I mean, I seen Clyde Edwards-Helaire got signed today. Like,
who did
guys,
the
Saints
XFL?
signed you ain't right, but 1 year deal with the Saints, man. But hey, I'm excited to see, some guys starting to get signed, some of our own guys, man, who we going to sign, who we going to let go. I'm excited to see, because I think that's going to leave the breadcrumbs for what we may or may not be doing in the draft, what we may or may not be attacking in free agency. So I'm really I'm staying locked into ESPN, Twitter, all the outlets, DMs. You guys are great about. If you guys see some news, DMing us and letting us know what's going on, making sure we're in the know. So yeah, I'm excited to see who stays and who goes.
I do have one thing that I couldn't put the dots together on. Maybe you can, or someone can leave it in the comments. With the hiring of Tashard Choice, someone was interviewing Coach Shepard, and he said, I can't wait to welcome one of my best friends to Motown. I can't put a connection on how those two, have they crossed paths somewhere that I don't know about? Do you know?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay. So someone in the comments, if you've done a little digging, I'm just curious to know how Coach Kelvin Shepard and Tashard Choice, where they correlate, because one went to Georgia Tech, the other went to LSU. I don't know if they coached on the same staff together somewhere, but apparently they're best friends. So that's another aspect of competition. Maybe we get that Deuce Staley and Aaron Glenn kind of rivalry in training camp going. I don't know if they're really that kind of personalities to be getting after each other, but best friends compete against each other. It's kind of like when I have to, spank Will's butt in fantasy football every year. It's just, just nature of the beast.
Cap.
I don't know. Well, I could still pull up the standings if we need to. But anything else tonight?
One bad year. That's all I got.
Maybe 3 bad years. I don't know. Anything else tonight?
No, sir.
All right, guys, stick around. Hit that like button. Subscribe. We'll be back later with another show.
Peace.